This week, we have a spooky and fun topic to dive into together. And so I would just like to remind you guys that we are your hosts. I am Melody Boudreaux Nelson.
Hi, I'm Stat Stephanie.
And I'm A. Odie, Minion of the Week.
Minion of the Week. It's Halloween.
Halloween.
Yay. Ooh, spooky. Steph's got a spider.
UC's out. Nothing's documented.
Oh God, please not this week. Okay. But actually, you hit on kind of a chemistry angle. And so today's topic is a little bit rooted in chemistry as well. I have seen all over social media and in like Men's Health, Goop has been pushing this. A few other places like Vogue and other areas. You may have seen it as well. It's called Joy and Blokes. And it is this company that is offering massive biomarker panels, lab panels. It starts with the labs. And it's one of many companies that are doing this now. It's like wellness boom and using biomarkers to get quote unquote deep insights to your own body. And then getting personalized treatment, which of course they sell you. So you pay them a fee for the lab services, and then you get like a very short consultation. And then they help you, quote unquote, proactively find and address your individualized health concerns. Ian Somerhalder from Vampire Diaries, Sean Johnson, the Olympian. They've got some real big names behind these wellness like types of businesses, I guess is the word. So I want to kind of just have a conversation as a SUPERSTAT crew about these types of businesses and the fact that some of the esoteric laboratories like big box labs, which shall go unnamed, have started getting into the wellness industry and performing some of these laboratory tests for these types of companies as like a money boom for the labs. And we know that we have financial pressures as laboratories. So like, what do we think about that? Where do we stand on that as a laboratory community? It's going to be a fun conversation today. Okay, so what does this kind of look like for people who decide maybe they want to get into this, or they saw the ad with their favorite superstar and they want to sign up? This company specifically offers like a comprehensive hormone panel, which is like 77 biomarkers, or 56. 56 is the lowest amount of biomarkers they offer. And then they have an advanced panel, which is like 70 something. And then they have a comprehensive panel, which is over 110 biomarkers. And part of that is like a thyroid panel. Now, what they do talk about is the fact that like your insurance probably is not going to cover this stuff because these tests are not medically necessary. We can get into that later. But then also the fact that, if you have past laboratory values, you'll probably have to do them again. Right? Like there's some kind of distrust in the traditional medicine, like laboratory profession, results. Like, and I just think all of this is a little problematic, but I'm interested in your point of views on it. And then we can kind of just have a bigger discussion if you guys are cool with that.
I mean, to me, I'm all okay with being curious and proactive with your health and trying to understand your body in different ways, either holistically or with traditional medicine to treat the things that are specific to you. I mean, that's what personalized and precision medicine is really all about, is you understanding you and working with your healthcare team to make decisions that are important to you. I just think there's a gray area between preventative medicine and profit-driven wellness. You know what I mean? So we've said this many times, consumers really should ask, is what I'm seeking or what I'm looking at evidence-backed? To me, context of those results can get lost and can lead to over or under treatment. So you just have to be cautious. I'm always cautious with direct or consumer testing, and especially things that aren't provided by a licensed provider, because they may not fully understand the entire picture of what the data is giving them. And that data can be misleading without that full picture.
Yeah, like is 30 minutes actually enough? You get a 30-minute consult? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure
you
you
know,
maybe get
Or
more
a
than
million
that as they're
biomarkers.
giving you supplements and things, I would hope. But then,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. What do
Mhm.
you think,
no,
Aaron?
and I agree. I mean, I am an advocate for you being proactive with your health, being in the conversations there. When I first heard about this, I started thinking about, like, for our generation, like eating your Wheaties, like with Michael
Mhm.
Jordan on the box, and like, oh, you must eat your Wheaties to be healthy and better. Is this our now generation's version of eating your Wheaties, where it's the Instagram craze and do these panels and 6'7" your way out of things?
It's
Six
that.
seven, 6'7". Yeah. So there does need to be oversight. It's not just where you can go on WebMD. It feels like an extreme WebMD
It
to an
seems like an
extent,
extreme WebMD
where
plus
you've got,
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
yeah, with some vitamins and off a bro podcast.
Yeah, numbers without the narrative is just noise in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And
So
hormone therapy isn't like taking vitamins. It's you can create small imbalances in your, in your system, in your cardiovascular system, in your, in the other parts of your systems that can create problems,
yeah,
So you really need to be careful.
and there's
Well,
reasons why there's years of education that go into fully understanding things. So why we've got pathologists,
Mhm.
DCLSs, why we've got other clinicians as well that are there to support those decisions.
yeah, and like what's interesting to me too is like they say like 56 biomarkers, but like when you look at the biomarkers, it's a CBC
Yeah.
and like a CMP and like basic components that are already like in your covered. If you have insurance, your covered annual wellness labs. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting anything necessary. Like some of the stuff isn't like we don't always do a vitamin D on everyone, and there's a reason for that, right? Because
Yeah.
you go outside for a good amount of time, you are probably getting enough vitamin D, and you may take a supplement or a vitamin, and you can get that pretty easily. You don't need to take excess vitamin D. It's one of those ones that if you take too much, you can start having cognitive issues,
Mhm.
right? So like we don't want that has to do with the fat solubility, but people don't know that necessarily, right? Like so when you're advertising it like it's 56 biomarkers, like I mean yeah it is, but like a BU and creatinine ratio is like calculated. You can't advertise that as a biomarker. Like I just don't.
But we are witnessing, and you can see it on Health Talk and across all kinds of Instagram reels, you are seeing like a cultural shift where patients see themselves as consumers and they want the speed and they want the transparency and they want the personalization. So I do wonder where this rise in consumer patient, age, like I said, cultural shift, where does that leave laboratory medicine? We don't want to be behind this curve. We want to be leading this curve with people generating more health data than ever and really trying to work to understand it themselves. Like, where are we in helping to guide some of those conversations?
So is it a branding issue then? Like we just need to rebrand a bit?
Well, some of it I think is the value-based medicine approach, right? And
Mhm.
being more engaged and being more present. And this again highlights the fact that laboratory medicine is largely left out of the health conversation. People don't know who we are. And
Mhm.
so then you have people saying your ABO group and your RH factor are part of your oxygen transfer and blood function. It's like it's your blood type.
Yeah, yeah.
Like do you know what I'm saying? Like it, and so do I want someone paying $600 to a personalized wellness plan because someone's going to do something off their blood type? I mean, there's all these proposed diets off of blood type now
Yeah.
and things that maybe aren't super backed by literature. Um, but to your point, direct to consumer testing has become a big market.
Mhm.
And some health institutions are actually finding, and I need to find the literature, the actual reference for this, but I was talking to someone the other day, like people experience like a 40% boom in their business to the health system if they have direct to consumer testing. It's like people have a better trust of them
Mhm.
because they
So,
let them kind of self drive, I guess, maybe.
so that's the leadership in the lab model challenge. Are we guarding the old model, or do we need to get on board and help design a new one that we can stand behind, and maybe be proactive instead of reactive to this consumer health? Like, how do we help to shape it? It's kind of at an inflection point, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this digital age, it's only going to get way more elevated.
It's true.
Yeah. So what do you think about utilization, Erin? Like, we have all of these best practices for test utilization, and wellness companies that just kind of do like pan testing or proponents of that, it goes against utilization practices. But I also feel like there's a deeper layer of like distrust that's promoted a little bit, because we're saying like your doctor's like holding this from you, but we're letting you have it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It
What are
does.
your thoughts on that?
I mean, you look at even though it's the commercials on YouTube as you're waiting for your like content to load, there's someone that's ripped working out, be like, oh, what you don't understand about the industry is, but it's been kept from you, your body. We're going to help you dive into open up your best you or something. So yeah, I think for them to be able to see the test in their hand and then going directly to something, there is that lack of understanding of all the steps it takes for you to get the proper care. And that's where in the laboratory we're starting. I feel like as educators, we're trying to get more people to see that. And that's the fight that we continually fight for, that getting people to understand the process. We could be holding on to the old a little bit. People are fearful of change. So it could be a call to be the leaders in front of it. Like Stephanie was saying, that we need to lead the way. And if we let the train go, it's going to keep going. We want it to stay on the rails. But we've all kind of mentioned that we need that guidance, or people should rely on that guidance and trust that guidance. But there have been a lot of recent political developments which have kind of prompted people to be less trustworthy. Even there have been news stories about rural doctors just trying to hand out masks or get people to take flu shots, and they're like, I'm not taking that flu shot. It's people that are predisposed that really need the vaccines that are in place. Even our Florida Surgeon General, he's kind of put in some mistrust there. So if that's coming from the top down, of course, the person that sees the person that's like, I can be the one to help you, is going to run towards that if they feel they can trust it.
Yeah, I feel like, it's a shame that there's that public distrust in public health, because good science invites questions, and we want to have those conversations, and we want to bring all these opinions to the tables and be able to have some of these conversations. And the goal of this conversation even isn't to discourage people from being proactive. I said that at the beginning. I encourage people to figure out the ways you feel comfortable with treating your body and understanding what's going on with you, is to make sure that you're informed and not being influenced. So we want people to feel empowered, but not exploited. And that's what many of these companies are doing. They're using data to exploit you to get more money. And as laboratory professionals, it's our role to bring science back into these conversations, because your body is not a sales pitch, and that's what's happening in some of these areas.
No.
Well, and I didn't even know that this was going on until it came up in my feed. And I was like, this video is a month old of him getting his labs drawn. And like, I know why it's there, because I'm a lab person and the algorithm has done what it's supposed to do. But I'm just like, how did this happen? And like, we don't know. And then for me, when I think about like the ethics of it, right? That's what you're kind of hitting at, Steph, is like, we've got, these labs are being performed somewhere. Are these accredited laboratories? And if there are accredited laboratories that are partnering with these types of exploitative, like company type wellness MLMs or whatever you want to call them, okay? Like if they're doing that type of stuff, like as a community, should we be, one, we should be aware of it, but then two, like what is our level of responsibility and culpability as a community for these types of efforts?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to just, if you feel compelled to do some of these self-assessments, you can bring those values and what you find out to your nurse practitioner, to your physician, and look at them with them as well. It's like, this is what I'm being told, is this correct? And I'm glad you did bring up the ethical importance of who's actually doing these tests. Are these CLIA certified, accredited labs? Are these CAP accredited labs? I always get a gut punch of kind of like, ooh, is this a Theranos thing? Is there some secret stuff going on that's not being properly done? So you just have to do your homework if you're doing these, and then trust your physician and bring them in if you do want to get them done. If you have like a feeling in your gut that you need to do this for your health, share with them. That's why they're there.
Yeah, because what bothered me on one of the websites I was reading was I was looking at these types of companies that are similar to like Joy and Blokes. Is like you've got that people ask like, well, I have labs from a clinician, like, can I use them? And they're like, well, if they're within 90 days, you can use them sometimes. It's like, so they're not good anymore? Like, we know that if you're unhealthy or you have a condition, like, yes, your biomarkers can change based on, like, your A1C, for example. You know what I mean? If you're diabetic. But if you're not, if you're a healthy person, a moderate delta in your lab values over 90 days is probably not clinically significant. So it just makes me wonder, like, what the goal is there. You know what I mean? Like, you can still pay for the consultation and we'll like look at the lab results that your physician already looked at. So like, it's almost like that a cycle of distrust, right? Like your physician that, might not know, but come schedule it with us and we'll help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think, you don't really know the regulations of these lab environments. And when you get outside of that, like you were mentioning, you kind of lose the guardrails that protect patients from misdiagnosis or all of the things that CAP and CLIA regulate for the quality of the test. And so, again, as a consumer, completely your choice of where you choose to spend your money and what you choose to spend it on, but just make sure that you are informed.
Yeah.
That is the tough part. Just, you don't know what you don't know.
Well, and the thing is too, like, I understand the appeal of like the marketing, and there's all these podcasts that are like promoting these, right? That are very popular. I mean, there's like 8 pages. I was looking through like a web page the other day, and there's like 8 pages of like podcasts that are promoting these types of programs. So how do laboratories use our voice in a positive way? I mean, I know we're trying to do that here, but beyond the podcast, what can our listeners do to help raise awareness for some of these things, or even generate a conversation ethically within like our laboratory societies around, supporting these type of endeavors, or finding out if there's a level of accreditation or any of those types of things? If you have a family member that comes to you, like, what can they do? What would you guys recommend?
I mean, I would say that lab professionals could be educators and help be translators and not just test performers. We've talked about that many times with that value-based conversation of making sure that you're stepping outside of just that transactional framework and stepping into a role that expands and supports your scientific knowledge. And so as these new things emerge, I would invest into your communication skills and be a visual representation of a person who can help interpret these things and provide health literacy knowledge and training to your family members. Or, everybody has social media, everybody has a platform. Use your platform for good and not just scrolling. And, think, like I said, think like these other consumers. And so, people are obviously getting enticed by that because they're looking for something. And so how can we use science and the appeal of what we do to continue to kind of neutralize what people are finding as appealing in some of these companies?
That's awesome. Erin, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm always
Stephanie
wowed
says everything
by
so well.
Stephanie.
Like
Always
Stephanie
very
just like
profound.
masterclass.
The only other thing I could think of is, I mean, do we need to start debunking some of these, or as lab professionals, if you see one of these and you actually have some spare funds, potentially seeing what you actually get? I'm not sure if they are doing reviews of these. Like if you have lab professionals like, ooh, so I went ahead and booked this because I've got a plethora of extra money because they pay us a ton, but that's a different episode. Where you kind of debunk them, because kind of like with any YouTube product, or you'll see today I'm going to review 20 packs of mac and cheese. Let's go through the mac and cheese. Oh, this one tastes different. We don't. So maybe some of these things that might reach somebody is seeing a review of these. I mean, if you have anything that's you're critically ill, then don't share your stuff that gets into HIPAA. But if you're a healthy individual and you don't mind sharing what, maybe not the actual results, but what you get back, and then someone else who's could be more of an informed consumer about what they're seeing. But so it's got to be the right person too. You've got to have someone with the right education, because potentially things can go off the rails pretty quickly. So that's a interesting suggestion to kind of look at, but we've all been down that rabbit hole where you see these YouTube videos of other reviews and you're like, nope, that's a crappy one. I'm going to move on. That's a bad one. But how do you know it's a bad one if you don't have the background? So it's a bit of a circular argument. But
it is. I mean, I kind of think like too, from like, I guess from a position of academia, my thought always goes to like, what do our regulatory bodies actually think of this? You know, you think about organizations, almost every laboratory society has like effective test utilization strategies and all these types of things, but we're silent on some of this stuff. And so if you're in societies, maybe you just raise the topic, you know, start a conversation within the society and say like, is this something we need to look at as a laboratory community and get organized behind, in terms of, and not trying to protect the old guard of like, you know, no, we can't do direct to consumer. I think most states have adopted direct to consumer testing, and I think more labs should consider it. But there's a difference between that and pan ordering things that you may or may not need. And again, I say this all the time because I work in the Alzheimer's space, but you know, you've got like people like Chris Hemsworth who does an APOE4 and then goes, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get Alzheimer's. Like, you don't know that. Like, don't tell me, you know, like I'm glad that like you grabbed onto that and you're going to like carpe diem the day, but like, that's not what that means, you know? And then I just don't think we ever have checks and balances. And it bothers me a little bit that people are very impressionable and you're using like that star power a little bit, maybe not for good in that moment, you know, like, so anyway, that would be my thought.
Yeah, I did see he did like a whole Disney series about different challenges and things. So I did see part of that series. Yeah,
but I'm like, bro, you don't know that. Like the whole time I'm like, I'm like, you don't know that. It's not like he has the genetic familial marker, right? Which would be indicative of that. And some people really do have that. And they're living with the reality that they're going to have Alzheimer's at 45. And it almost like diminishes their reality a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because there are tests that do confirm that is going to be a real livelihood for someone, but that is not that test. And so I would hate for someone to get an APO4 and then think like that's what they have. So anyway, all that to say, we've talked about a lot today.
Yes.
Would love to talk to somebody on the pro side of this business, or even who owns a business like this. So yeah, reach out to us at SUPERSTAT. We'd love to interview you. You guys have anything you want to say before we sign off for our audience today?
Do your research.
Yes. Be a smart consumer. Advocate for yourself, but do your research. Listen.
Listen. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Continue the conversation down below. Like and subscribe, and let us know what else you see on the interwebs that might be interesting for us to talk about and pick apart. Talk to you guys later. Oh, and our minion's putting his glasses back on, so it is time.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yeah, happy Halloween. You guys have a great rest of the
lab.
Back to the lab. Bye.
Bye, guys.